can handle all of your washing needs. Always air-conditioned for your comfort and plenty of upfront parking available. Wright's Coin Wash is located at 209 East Grant Highway.
This is PK Chance, the host of New Stuff Saturday, a weekly show covering the hottest new music, top 40, alternative, country, rock. We've got it all. Saturday mornings from 10 to 11 on WXMR 94.3 LP, Marengo Community Radio.
It's 9:30.
This is a journey into sound.
Marengo Community Radio. Oldies, country, Christian, classical, and jazz. 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond.
Like no place on earth.
That was a quick break.
It was a quick break.
We're back on the Marengo Man Cave. You're listening to 94.3
LP.
LP Marengo. We got Matthew in here with me. This is Eric. And you're sitting in the Man Cave. We've been talking football. And as we heard from that little announcement, WXMR, we have 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
And surprises
new stuff,
along the way.
Classical, disco. You never know, right? You listen, you got a song. The first one's disco. The next one's classic rock. And then it's
Big band.
Big band. Yeah, we play it all.
You can't not be happy.
Right. So if you don't like the song that's playing, just wait. The next one's going to be nothing like it. Which actually, I think, makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's community radio.
Right. We have other stations. If you only want to listen to one kind of music all day,
then you turn them on.
Yeah, but you don't want to do that. You want to listen to us. Absurdity, just a little sports talk.
The Villain Store will be playing WXMR.
Oh, yeah.
That is for sure.
That would make sense.
So
we'd have to have a special. We'd have to have special music for sale at the Villain Store, right? Good theme music, you know.
Now, is somebody tips at the Villain Store? Or are we having some like the foghorn, like the creepy, eerie foghorn? You know, like at the bars where you walk out, or like Long John Silver's where you ring the bell if you felt like you had good service at the Villain Store. If you had good customer service, does the foghorn go? Like, do you hit the button for the foghorn when you walk out?
I don't think so. I don't know if you want to bring attention to the fact that you were there.
Is that like the Scooby-Doo?
Right.
How many times was that?
I think if you had good service and so forth, then you sneak out the back door. That's see, if you leave in the front door, that's telling us you weren't necessarily happy. If you leave through the back alley, that's a compliment right there.
Nice.
Huh?
I like it.
So, see, this Villain Store's coming together.
Is this radio station brought to us in part by anybody?
Oh, yes, it is. We contributors to Marengo Community Radio include Huntington Service, offering maintenance and repair of all appliance brands. HuntingtonService.net, 568-0700.
Nice.
So
I called you last week.
Were you expecting me to say the show was sponsored by the Villain Store?
No, but
okay.
Someday it will be.
Someday. One of these days.
I have a business plan.
No, the day that actually...
Hey, you cut me off.
Yeah, of course. When you tune in on Saturday morning and just the mix of music plays on and you don't hear the Man Cave, it's because we started the Villain Store and we won't be seen again. We'll be incognito.
So I called you and broke my... I think I had to surprise you by this call, and I said, we need to get a fantasy football, because you know how I feel about fantasy football. I just don't do it.
Yeah, I haven't done it
in a long time.
And
I called you and said, we need to do it. I said, my little guy, my 11-year-old wants in. He wants to do fantasy football. So
sure.
Somehow that escalated into you and I now. We own a fantasy football league, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what it's called? We're owners? You're a
We're
commissioner?
owners. Yeah, we're owners. I'm the commissioner.
We're in, and the two of us have to act like the grown-ups, because everybody is... all
these kids
So how scary is that? You and I are in charge.
Yes. I think that's pretty scary, and our listeners would agree.
So we have all the boys in.
Right.
And
we were talking about that in the car on the ride home from the soccer game last night.
Okay, so he's in, happy, right?
Yep.
Okay, so my boys are in. They're making their team names or doing up colors and logos and all that. So
yeah, fun stuff. All the critical things, right?
Yeah.
The logos and intimidating names.
Right. Yeah, the Schwarzeneggers.
Yeah.
That was my 15-year-old.
Yeah.
He named his team the Schwarzeneggers.
Yeah, that's not intimidating. It might have been in 1987 when some of the songs were
your
played
joke was hilarious. I don't know that we can say that on air, but your putback was...
Yeah, we'll keep that one. I'll come up with others. I mean,
So the 11-year-old's
Schwarzenegger,
nickname.
is he intimidating to voters
right.
in California? I don't know.
Yeah, no.
So,
We can run with that all
let's not talk
season.
politics, right? It's
Right.
against policy.
So the 11-year-old's
It's too serious.
nickname is Chunky Waffle. It has been for years.
Right.
So he's called him Chunky Waffle all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what he named his team, the Chunky Waffles. So
Sure.
I don't know what color he's going with, or is it just a natural color of syrup will be his team color, or what he's going to do there. So
Interesting.
So what did you name yours?
Oh, Putz' Pirates.
Putz' Pirates? Nice.
Yeah, I needed something that went with Putz.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
that's a reference, for those of you who don't know, to Grumpy Old Men, the movie, two best friends.
Putz and Moron.
Putz, the one guy early in the movie he calls him Putz, the other one calls him Moron. They call each other other things too, but that aren't as radio friendly.
Yeah,
But
things
that's
get a little
sort of,
dicey from there.
Somehow I ended up with you calling me Putz, but we never call you Moron. So
Let's just assume that I am.
But so I named the league, Grumpy Old Men and Sons. So
I know, I like that. We
Yeah.
we got a good kick out of that. We were laughing. So I got to get my big guy,
creative.
the 18-year-old. He's got to fill out. We got the girlfriend's boyfriend in, right? So
the
I think
girlfriend's boyfriend,
girl's
daughter's
boyfriend. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, wow.
Girlfriend's boyfriend. Huh, nice.
Yeah.
So the daughter's boyfriend's, he's in, right?
Yeah.
Talk to Coach Zoom. Him and his Coach Zoom and Little Zoom they're in.
Yeah.
So
Well, I said before the break, not only are we now venturing into this, and we'll have updates, of course, of how great we're doing, because the kids aren't on air, right?
right,
So
right.
We can just say we're
we
winning.
can smack talk all we
Right.
want.
Get your own radio show if you want to brag about yours.
Get your own login and sign in for our league to see that we're lying.
No, I'm thinking the kids.
Right.
If they want to brag, they can start their own radio show,
Well played.
right?
Well played.
We have a kids show on air already.
Nice.
So they play music and so forth. But also, Steve, if you're listening, you're starting the show on Wednesday nights. Church of Metal is a Packer fan. When he was in a couple weeks ago, and you were not available to be on the show because you were moving your daughter to college.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of opened my big mouth as
Usual.
as usual, yes, and said that maybe we needed to do a challenge. I don't want to say that
I
betting.
like how
is-
you're always spending my good currency.
No, not
I,
money.
I see.
not
I know,
money.
but I mean by currency. I mean
Yes.
you're not consulting with me
Right.
before you.
So we need to come up with what that challenge would be. We're thinking Bear Packer, and something maybe show related. So, so we have to come up with that. I know Wednesday nights might not be good for you with the football season. So his show's on Wednesdays. I was thinking something along the lines of
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
coming and being a guest on the other person's show, or
Now we did go with the auto draft for our fantasy league just because
Yeah.
of the age of the boys and
Yep.
their first time doing it. So
Yeah.
right, that's
Yeah.
that's what we settled on.
Yep.
So that'll be fun because knowing my kids, they would just draft the names that they could recognize. So that
Right.
would be
and not necessarily the right balance of things.
yeah. So it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I think you and I are going to take the role of more just not crushing them, but it's more just probably we'll
You
spend
say
a lot
that
more
now,
time guarding.
and then in a week we're going to be like asking our listeners, can anybody who's experienced that fantasy football call,
Help
because our
us, we're
kids
good.
are crushing us. They've. You don't think that's going to happen?
I know it's going to happen.
Have you played fantasy football before?
one time?
Yeah, I have 1 year as well. You know who my quarterback was?
Who was your quarterback?
John Elway. That's how long it's been.
Yeah, ouch.
I still remember my team. I had Mike Allstott from Tampa Bay as a running back.
Nice.
Because short yardage, he'd score a lot of touchdowns.
Mhm.
Chris Carter was my receiver.
Wow.
One of them.
It's been a while.
Yeah, these.
Mine's not too far behind you. Mine's probably just a year or two
Yeah.
in that neck of the
But then you had to, it was all getting your rosters turned in and watching TV or looking at the newspaper. It wasn't computer. And the scoring, that's the thing that, I didn't know anything about. I pulled it up on ESPN or whatever, booyah.com. And,
Well, that's the nice thing now that we don't have to keep score.
Right.
The computers just.
But then they give points for this and points for that and, stuff you wouldn't want to do if you're doing it by hand.
Yes.
Because ours was simple. It was, touchdowns and then a bonus points for.
So did you work on your homework at all from last week with the nicknames? Did you do
A
anything?
little bit. Forgot to bring in. I didn't bring in any notes.
So we're pushing that. We'll push that off to
So-
next week then.
I think it kind of goes with our team names here. We're sort of talking names, but
Okay.
So you were asking about just great nicknames, right?
Yep. And then the nicknames, we were talking about nicknames that are, you don't get to pick your nickname.
No.
But you get to, like, you know.
Yeah,
See,
like
can you pick your alias, right? You can pick your alias. You can't pick your own nickname.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
So is a villain name earned, or is it given? Or do you just make one up yourself?
I imagine it's...
Like, what's the defining moment? Are you sitting in the Lazy Boy rocker recliner
So
down
you're
in the
saying,
basement,
like,
and you decide I'm going to be, you know, Electro Man?
I would say that, and I don't have a lot of experience in
bad
villainry.
Villainry,
Right?
Nice.
But so I'd have to reference the classic sources. And so in Home Alone, when the one guy runs the water to have the sink overflow so they could be known as the Water Bandits, shows that you can't give yourself a villain name.
Right.
And I think that's pretty accurate. It's true to life, right? That show, that movie?
Yeah.
Also current reference. Nothing like a current reference.
Yeah, you're on your game there, buddy.
So, you know, I would imagine that's the same, you know.
Oh, dude, I was on the road all week. I forgot to tell you this. We didn't talk much during the week. It was I'll say, a very quiet week for the two of us in contact with one another. School being back in, I'm already hating it because the roads are so busy. You know, like everybody's out in the morning, everybody's out running around, chasing after stuff, getting the kids moved around. It already stinks. Very unhappy about this. You know, summer's kind of nice because it's just...
Summer? It's been like 68 and raining.
Well,
Talk about...
drizzly, cloudy, rainy. Not good. The temperature's been nice this last week.
Yeah, so for our overseas listeners, it's been kind of unseasonably cool.
Unseasonably cool. Yeah. Nice.
Notice, you know, I'm assuming we have people worldwide tuning in because, you know, if you're listening right now, maybe you just happened upon us and you're like, who are these guys? I'm Eric East Matthew. This is the Marengo Man Cave. You can listen to us on
94.3.
Yeah, 94.3 in your car. You got about a 5-mile radius of Marengo that we're broadcasting to. So if you're hanging around town, tune in. But let's say you're leaving that space, you can go to wxmr.org. Scroll down the left side of the web page. There's a big old button that says "Listen Now," and you click it, and you're streaming it online. And then if it doesn't come up right away, sometimes you can also, there's a button there for if you want to do it through your Apple, your iTunes, or through Windows Media Player, you can get it going. We also record our shows, so if you're listening now and saying, yeah, but I'm not normally available Saturday morning, you can go out to Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker, I'll say that carefully. It's got an R in there.
SPR.
Search Marengo Man Cave. And because we are a talk show that doesn't play music, we can have our shows recorded and set out there for you to listen to. I don't think they keep them all forever, but if you miss on a Saturday morning, you catch it later in the week.
If you miss, nice.
Yeah. Well, I know our listeners out there really like to.
You know what? You've done such a great job today. I'm going to take you out after the show and buy you some Oktoberfest.
No. I saw a thing. It was a great
Look
post.
on your face was awesome.
There's a new thing I hadn't heard of, and I want to see if you support this. And I probably should
you as
do
the listeners
a
or
quick
me?
search. Well, you specifically, but also our listeners. And it was, in fact, if you want to let me search it real quick, I'll get the right name.
Go ahead and search it. I don't care.
Well, I'm just trying to do two things at once here.
You're multitasking. It's right up Spock, Sam the Eagle's. It's right up you.
Yeah, the computer, you got to turn to the right, and the microphone's off there. So, I mean, I need to pull it over and get this. So let me look
That's
this
not
up.
a good visual. Anyways, we're talking about Oktoberfest has become like Christmas. It's not even Halloween. Christmas decorations are out. We're talking, it's not even Oktoberfest, and the Oktoberfest beer is being sold.
So our friends over, our buddy Mike Dallas, who's on our show,
Over at Scorched Earth,
shared an article the other day, and it's Fall Beer Freedom Day 2015. And so the concept is that the fall beverages, so Oktoberfest or the
dreaded pumpkin ale.
Pumpkin ales, which we don't believe in. But
putting pumpkin in a beer does not make it
right. But
fall.
anyways, that we should have freedom from those until, and the official day is this year, Tuesday, September September 8th, so the day after Labor Day. So the concept that they're trying to say is